European countries and the United States have congratulated Mr. Macron on his re-election. President Biden said he looks forward to continuing what he called their close cooperation in Ukraine and countering climate change. Meanwhile, President Volodymyr Zelensky, who has spoken with Macron several times since Russia's invasion, called Macron a true friend of Ukraine. For more on this, we can cross live to Paris, where French political analyst Laura Haim joins us now for more. Laura, thanks for joining us on Newsday. Emmanuel Macron re-elected as president. Was this a bigger victory than people were expecting?
Yes, it was, because, you know, we were talking here about what was going to happen, and a lot of people were saying, oh my God, it's going to be so close. It was not close at all. I mean, Marine Le Pen has 41%, Emmanuel Macron has more than 57%, so there's a huge gap, more than 10 points, and that's what the Emmanuel Macron camp wanted. A clear, clean victory over the far right. However, the good thing for Emmanuel Macron is that he has been re-elected, and this is a huge news for him, because in the past 20 years, no French president in power was re-elected. The bad news is that, as you know, as you pointed out, the country is deeply fractured.
And Laura, we know he has he's actually vowed to reunite France, but exactly how big of a job does he have on his hands now?
So his job at this moment is going to be absolutely huge, because first he has to make sure that he's the president of all the French. And that's really difficult when you look at the figures, because again, Emmanuel Macron has 57-58, Marine Le Pen won over 40 points, and then you had 28% who didn't go to vote. So 41 plus 28, you almost have 70% of the registered voters who didn't want Emmanuel Macron, and Emmanuel Macron knows that. I spoke with some of his advisors today, and they know that they have to try to unite the country. On the international front, he has to deal with the Ukraine situation. We expect him at this moment to go soon to do an international trip. There are a lot of rumors that he's going to go very quickly to Berlin. Will he go to Kiev? That's something that a lot of French journalists are expecting now. And then you have the economic situation, and he has to change his government. His government is going to resign probably this week, and there will be a new prime minister. And then you have the third round with the general elections coming in June.
All right, Laura, let's talk about the runner-up. What's the way forward for Marine Le Pen? What's the future like for her at the moment?
And that's a very interesting question, because, you know, in the United States, Donald Trump, for instance, has more than 76 years old, and he's saying that he wants to run again. And Marine Le Pen is really inspired by that. She's still young. She still wants to stay in politics. She's saying that, and we're going to see which role she's going to play. She's going to become the leader of the far right in France. She can, because the far right again is over 40%. So she has a future. Now the difficulties for her, what will happen with the populist Éric Zemmour? What will happen with the people who are saying Marine Le Pen is over? Her father tried, he never succeeded. She tried 3 times, she didn't succeed. So it has to be seen, but at this moment, she definitely wants to stay in the political game.
So tell us more about the upcoming parliamentary elections. What can we expect?
So that's going to be the third round, because I want to remind your viewers and yourself that, you know, you have a system in which it's not like in the United States. The parliament is very important. So the government and the prime minister have to be from the majority of the people in the parliament, in the National Assembly. So that's coming up in June. And the country is so fractured that already you can see that the left wants to unite itself around the leader, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who is really a populist leftist. And you also have the right and the far right who want to unite themselves. There are a lot of anger, a lot of resentment. There's not a proportional system in France, and people want a proportional system. So if Emmanuel Macron doesn't put quickly a proportional system, the anger is going to be unbelievable. Now, if he puts a proportional system, or if the left is really mobilized, Emmanuel Macron will have this week or next week to have a new government, and after the general elections in June, to make sure that he's issued a new government from the majority chosen by the French voters. So it's a lot of political crisis in France, with a country again which is very angry. Anything is possible. Emmanuel Macron knows that. It's a difficult country to govern.
And what will become of the far right, as seeing that things are so fractioned at the moment?
So that's the question, because in the far right you have two elements. You have the populist Emmanuel Macron, very inspired by Donald Trump. People wanted him to become president, and he was not good. He did a low score. It was between 7 and 8%. And then you have Marine Le Pen, who has an historical high score, 41%. So basically, 41 plus 7 to 8, you almost have 50% of the French voters who choose for a far-right party, but at this moment they're not represented anymore. So they have to unite, but of course it's politics. There are a lot of dissension. Eric Zemmour yesterday night criticized the Le Pen name, saying they're not able anymore. We have to choose a new leader. So are they going to agree together to win the majority at the national general elections, or are they going to disagree? That's something to be seen soon.
All right, Laura, I want to say thank you very much for joining us here on Newsday. Have yourself a lovely day.